Well, I'm going to first of all give credit to Penn State. I thought they were specifically the back part of the first half and the whole 20 minutes of the second half. Much more aggressive team, much more physical team. They played with some desperation. Obviously, I think it's probably their last game if they're not qualified for Big Ten tournament, but um, and disappointed in our response to it of how we didn't have bite to us. How we did early, and for whatever reason, it dissipated, and we gave them so much confidence at the end of the first half. We were up 40-27. We don't score for 10 straight possessions. They go on an 8-0 run. Baldwin hits his only bucket in the last play of the half. And that gave them confidence to come out in the second half, and they knocked down some shots, and we're in a dogfight. So, again, I'll just credit to them. Um, and we got to regroup here and dust ourselves off. And this one stings because we for our seniors and for our fans and everybody, not the performance that we wanted nor desired. We're better than this, and we got to, especially defensively, get back to having our bite to us in our teeth. And again, that's credit to Penn State to really coming at us and us not responding. So that'll take questions.
Michael, you guys missed a lot of playoffs. I guess what is that a result of?
Some of them we drove too deep. I mean, I thought Conan is a really good player, and he's shot blocker, lob catcher. So some of them we drove too deep, where we just teed them up for him to block. So we've got to understand. As I watch the film, I'll break that down and show them where you get there and you got a 7-footer that's got arms for 7.5 feet. You're not going to win that. He's going to pin that against the glass. So you get there, you draw help, somebody's open. Right? Somebody's open. So is it the big that he rolled off of? Is it somebody on the perimeter? So that was the biggest culprit. I felt we went too deep and tried to go through him at times. We needed to get him. We were better when we had a 5 on him in terms of with post play, which I didn't feel we were aggressive enough in the post. But in terms of the dribble penetration, we did get there. I think we were 5 for 22 from 2 in our 4 or 5 guards, I was told. So, some of that's missing some chippies, and it's him too, impacting at the rim.
Johnny,
here.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about talk a little bit more about Niederhauser's impact on the game on both sides of the ball, and also how do you think Steven played that matchup, and what do you think he did?
Yeah, I mean, obviously from the defensive side, I thought Niederhauser was good, and that's what I saw on tape. That he's a shot blocker, and the people that I've talked to, obviously not seeing him in person until March. All the reports on him were he's a really good player. In terms of what the offensive side of him, he was a recipient of our defensive breakdowns. We get spread out too much, and we bid on shot fakes of guys that are not shooters. And we have dribble penetration come, and if we're rotating off of him, he's catching a lob, or sometimes we had nobody stopping the ball. So we were I'll look through the film, but we were too spread out away from, obviously we wanted to stay pretty well attached with Dunn and Hicks and Baldwin when he had the ball, but too many gaps, too much dribble penetration. Times we switched things we didn't need to switch. Like I said, we just never got our footing. After that first 10, 15 minutes defensively, I felt we were kind of walking on ice. We just couldn't get them under control. And like I said, that's credit to them that they were aggressively at us. And, we didn't respond. And schematically, get the ball stopped is priority number one.
Coach, in the last 3 losses, second halves have kind of been a talking point. You've mentioned before the aggressiveness where you feel like it hasn't carried over to the second half at times, but specifically with the bigs. Where do you think that needs to improve, and why do you think that maybe hasn't come recently?
I mean, they're all different individually, personality-wise, so they're all wired a little different. I think, today it wasn't as much about the aggressiveness offensively. I thought we had some decent looks. It was the defensive bite to us that we didn't have, and that was across the board. I mean, that wasn't one person specific or one position specific. That was across the board. And thought we fouled too much. We let Baldwin reject screens, which is taboo, and puts us in positions to foul and giving up a layup, going away from a ball screen. So just and I thought we got sloppy with the ball early too. We were trying to break their pressure, and we make passes that have no business being made in transition. With them still pursuing the ball in transition, and like I said, just that back half of the first half, and specifically the last 5 minutes or so, set the tone for just pouring confidence into what they were doing, and that's where the tide started to turn. Even though we had a lead at halftime, I didn't feel good about what was happening.
Mark?
Knowing he played the last 11 minutes or so, what was ailing him? And second part of that is, without him, without Max, is there kind of a...
Yeah, we're a different team. We're a different team. I mean, something happened. I don't know what. I haven't talked to the trainer specifically yet when he had that tip dunk, whether he hurt his arm or his shoulder. I don't know exactly yet. So I haven't had a chance to meet with our trainers and doctors. And I put him back in. I didn't feel he looked the same. I thought he was, something obviously was bothering him. So yeah, let's see what I'll learn more here over the next, maybe later today or over the weekend.
I'm sorry, the second part of that was just, I want to get your thoughts on just the impact when guys are playing more minutes, when you don't have those.
Well, I mean, they're starting for a reason, right? Because they're our best 5 players. So you have 2 starters that, one here we've missed for 3 games, and then you have another. It puts more pressure on Steve. He's got to play more minutes because there's another big that's out of the lineup. I went to Gilmore more at the 5 in the second half when Nolan was out. So yeah, it's a domino effect, and obviously those 5 that walk out to start the game, they're out there for a reason, and we need to have those guys out there, and then the guys off the bench, need to continue to contribute in positive ways.
Andrew in the back, coach.
When you lose a game in this manner, does that give you confidence that going into the Big Ten tournament they will have kind of that bite that you're talking about and maybe more inspired play?
Well, we're going to find out. We'll see the response. We'll be able to find out Thursday or Friday whenever we play, what our response is. And knowing those guys, this is not a good day, in terms of that 40 minutes. But as I told them, there's a lot of people that have helped put them in position. I don't want any powders or, pouty looks coming out of the locker room. Go spend time with those friends and family that have helped you get to this point. And we have no one to blame but ourselves, myself included. So I got to continue to push buttons and find ways, and we got to get healthy. And that'll hopefully here in the next 4 or 5 days, we can get back to full health.
Go ahead, right up front, coach.
With all your experience, I wonder how you approach this then as a coach. Do you use this almost like a midterm? You really nitpick this game and use it to fuel, or do you flush the negatives?
Well, we'll learn from it. I mean, we'll watch whether we, play really well or poorly. We always, we grade them all the same and we evaluate them the same. So yeah, there's going to be, I'm sure, a lot of teaching from this, but it's and then we got to, like I told them, we're lucky we get to play again, but from here on out, we'll play like this. You won't play long, so we know how good we can be, but we've got to be able to respond from this, because this is obviously not how you want to have a senior day. Feel bad for those guys because that's not anything anybody wanted.
Jim in the back.
Greg, you had that 4-day stretch where you beat Purdue and Illinois, and it seemed to be kind of ready to take that next step. Max's injury probably is a big factor, but do you feel like your team's leveled off, or is it more than Max's injury? Is it or no?
It's hard Jim, to evaluate it when you don't. Is it or is it not? Because he's not back. I felt obviously the end of the Oregon game, we didn't finish that one out. I thought we played well enough at Michigan State. We just didn't shoot the ball well. you know, we're always going to be in a grinder with Minnesota, and then, you know, the sometimes the senior day responses are, those can be, you know, I've seen all gamuts of emotion on senior day, and but that's not an excuse. So the credit goes to Penn State. Like I said, they came right at us, and especially after that first, you know, 10, 12 minutes, we didn't have the bite to us and go back at them. Specifically on the defensive end, our defensive end, but we let them get too comfortable. So I think as you evaluate it, Jim, each of them, you evaluate them individually, right? Because we've seen. I remember when 14 we lost the last regular season game at Nebraska, and then it was kind of a all right bouncing point, you know, so to speak. So like I said, the response will be the big thing, and I have full faith that these guys will respond because they're competitive. Um, they know this is not, you know, we're not, this wasn't a good performance, and you know, just gotta, we'll flush it, but we also got to learn from it. We can't just completely ignore it. We will learn from it and then move on to whatever's next.